You know, early voting is getting underway in many different states. And Richard Bell, who is a voting rights attorney and founder of votingforbeginners.com, is with us today to talk about this. But there's some other things I want to talk to Attorney Bell about. Hi, Richard, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, Perry. It's always wonderful to be on your show. And how are you today?
I'm doing great. You know, I want people to know that he's been practicing for more than 30 years, and I'm talking about Richard. And he is a legal expert source for many media outlets throughout the country. So again, Attorney Bell, I'm so happy that you're joining us. But I have to ask you, so we found out that Joe Biden, then Vice President Joe Biden, beat President Trump handily in the state of Arizona. How are they still perpetuating this lie that Joe Biden didn't win? In fact, that he actually had, when they did the audit, they found more votes for President Biden. How do you explain this to the American people?
Okay, what I would tell the American people first is happy National Voter Registration Day. Get out and register and vote. Mm-hmm. And number two, in all democracies that decline and turn into autocratic or dictatorial states, they all start with big lies. And obviously the big lie going on in our country right now is these Trumpsters that are trying to tell us he won the election. We all know there's zero evidence of it. So you get these enablers like those Republican legislators in Arizona to go hire these ninja people who know nothing about auditing an election. And what do they find after 5 months? Oh, Joe Biden had 360 more vote margin. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you and I would say, okay, this is ridiculous. Time to stop. Oh, no. Now it's Texas, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania that are going to do their own because they can't stop because that big lie has to be perpetuated. And it's exactly why we have to vote ourselves out of this because this is really dangerous now.
But see, don't you think it's dangerous? See, I honestly believe that the Republican Party is not working in their best interests. What they're doing is, like you said, trying to perpetuate a lie. But what if they go to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and wherever else and do these audits and find out that Joe Biden won by a bigger margin than was first reported? How do you keep perpetuating a lie with this many failures?
Because they're going to tell their voters what they told them after the Arizona audit, which was, they didn't give us enough access. I'm sure we would have found something had we been able to do it a different way. So, Perry, when you lie, and you just keep lying to cover up the bigger lies. So
this is interesting. I didn't hear that. I just saw the headline where Donald Trump said that Stacey Abrams would be a better governor of Georgia than Brian Kemp. What's that strategy?
Oh, well, Brian Kemp wouldn't overturn the election for him. Neither would Raffensperger, the Republican Secretary of State in Georgia. They actually, to their credit, I mean, I don't like anything else about their politics, but to their credit, they conducted the proper election with the result that was actual. So I think he's just riling up his base for the Republican primary in Georgia to defeat Kemp and to get somebody that will overturn an election in 2024 if, God forbid, we get that far with him.
But this is incredible. So this is why I appreciate you coming on. It's because before you came on, I did say, guys, register to vote, but at least check to see if you are still on the voting rolls, that you are still registered. Is that good advice to give to our listening audience?
Absolutely, and this is what I'm going to tell them. I just created this new 10-episode web series. They're 3 to 5 minutes apiece. The whole thing is less than an hour. It's called votingforbeginners.com.
Okay.
And what it does, it lays out the how to register, how to vote, how to make sure your vote gets counted, and it's for everybody. I mean, it's for young and the not so young. It's for beginning voters and people that have been voting for 50 years, because there's a lot of basics that people don't know about. Things like when you move, you may have to change your registration depending on how far it is. Things like early voting versus same-day voting or absentee versus in-person. I go over all these issues because here's the deal. You do not, please, don't be that person who has a registration problem when they go to vote and you need my help at the polls or in the courtroom because it may be too late for me to help you and you don't get to vote.
See, that is my biggest concern. And, you know, in these times with Mr. Biden, you know, he is the commander-in-chief. With all of these different issues that he's had in the past couple of weeks, I can see Democratic voters being a little apathetic, a little pissed about what they saw at the borders with the Haitian migrants. What happened even in Afghanistan on the final day of withdrawal with the murder of those servicemen and women, and I can go down the list. If it's just, you know, the COVID-19 and the vaccination mandates, people get upset and they'll, you know, until they realize how crucial it is at some point to keep him in office or not. I'm not going to go there. But they still need to vote and to at least use their right to vote. And don't squander it away because you didn't know that you were no longer on the voting rolls.
Yeah, you know, Perry, I'm sure you know, but there was a gentleman, Vermin Dahmer, back in 1966. He was a voting rights advocate in Jim Crow, Mississippi, and he was literally murdered by the KKK. And the epitaph on his stone is, "If you don't vote, you don't count," and that is true.
Wow. And I, you know what? And I can understand a lot of the apathy. I get it. And how many, I can just tell you, Attorney Bell, many of our audience, our listeners, feel betrayed by the president with the nomination of former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel being nominated as the ambassador to Japan. I mean, this isn't sitting well with a lot of black Chicagoans and people who are not black. He is considered by many people in the city of Chicago as the worst mayor of their lifetime. Now, that means a lot more because I always thought the Dalys were the worst and they should be in prison. But if they're not dead, then they should be in prison. So I get it. I get how people feel about this.
Yeah, and you know what, Perry? I'm totally on board, by the way, on the opinion of Rahm Emanuel. I'm New York City. I know enough about him to be in complete agreement. But this is what I would say to people that are apathetic, that don't want to participate. Let's look at two things. Let's look at 2017 to the inauguration 2021. You want those kind of 4 years again? Number one, obviously not. Nobody has a perfect candidate, and nobody makes all the moves that we would like. I mean, that would be impossible. What I think we need to realize is right now, it is a national election reform 5-alarm fire going on.
Okay.
Because our democracy will not to continue to exist if we don't put in candidates that believe that voter suppression is wrong, that the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act has to be passed, that these what's called the Electoral Vote Count Act, that's about the Electoral College, it has to be amended. But you know what? Here's my thinking. My thinking is that Congress has failed us on voting rights. The courts have failed us on voting rights. The legislatures have failed us on voting rights. You know what? the last stop on the democracy train is we the people. It's us. We're the only ones that are going to get ourselves out of this mess, and we're going to get ourselves out of this mess by registering and voting in droves to elect politicians who respect the right to vote, are against voter suppression, and agree that everyone, regardless of race, age, disability, or any other factor, should be free to vote and to have the votes counted freely. Because if we don't have that, Perry, everything else is never going to happen.
It's mute.
It's all moot because you know what? Dr. King, he said, voting is the foundation of political action. That's it.
And why do you think that they're working so feverishly to get rid of this, to make it more difficult for people to vote? But I'm going to tell you this, Attorney Bell, and you would know better than me. There's going to be a lot of people in that Republican base that are not even going to have the will to vote with some of the things that they've done to suppress the vote.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And you know what, Perry? The only way around suppression, because like I said, the courts, the legislature, the Congress, they're failing us right now. I mean, that filibuster, it's a killer. The only way around it is us, because if we do things like this votingforbeginners.com, by just trying to educate people on a very simple level about what you have to do to register and vote. You know why? Because if we do it in droves, we get rid of these people that don't want to change the system, make it fair for everybody.
And I want Manchin gone, and I hope a great candidate runs against him. And I'm not talking about a Republican. I'm talking about a true Democrat. This man is positioning himself as a Democrat, and he's about as much Democrat as I am Republican today.
Oh, Perry. And he's the kingmaker now. How sad is that?
That is sad. That is really sad. Well, Attorney Bell, this is great. I am so glad. Votingforbeginners.com. It is available for you to view. It's less than an hour long. Remember, votingforbeginners.com. And you don't have to be a beginner if you're just a little fuzzy on what you need to do because you have moved or because someone in the family passed on or whatever you need that has the same name. If you've got any of those kind of things going on, get it fixed and don't wait till the last minute because Attorney Richard Bell can't help you on Election Day.
I try. I still try.
I know you
Sometimes
still try.
But please don't be that person. I have to help.
All right, then. Thank you so much. It's always good to talk to you, Attorney Bell. And I can't wait till you make it to Chicago and we can have dinner or something sometime.
Oh, my goodness. Would that be a delight, Terry?
Yeah.
Oh, Terry, thank you so much.
All right, then. Keep up the good work.